Welcome everyone for this beautiful Friday show where we look at the market and what happened this week. Fortunately, our predictions from yesterday became true with no more testing how much we can go to the downside, but the alert is not off yet, and we will review what happened so far and where we go from here. So I want to start this whole thing with a quick look at Tesla. I'm actually going here to SpaceX first, just for fun. SpaceX pretty much flat, not much going on here. SpaceX finding its stable for now equilibrium, but there is a lot of selling pressure coming. As you know, I am staying off SpaceX, just a side note here, but Tesla doing pretty well today with the market actually going down, starting very much in the negative, by the way, all the way down here. It was down 1.2% or something, the Nasdaq, and then recovering pretty strongly, which is a very interesting sign. I explained this yesterday. I'm sticking to my point of view here. And you saw that it's recovering very nicely, ending up 0.24% negative. Just to repeat what I said yesterday and repeatedly, you know that I believe we are in a bull market that is driven by real world progress, margins going up, people making more money, US enterprise, US S&P 500, they're all making a lot of more money because of AI, because that stuff actually works, as everyone knows who's using Anthropic or ChatGPT or even Grok, who's using Claude Design, and who's using all these coding agents that are just changing the world as we speak. That drives up profits. We have the data coming in. We know corporate profits are going through the roof. Not just for the hyperscalers, for Micron and all the other guys, but for the enterprise at large. And when profits go up, stocks go up too, because they reflect that. And when profits go up and stocks go up, it's not a bubble, it is a bull market based on fundamental improvements of the earnings power. There is no bubble. I said it before and before. But of course, that means we have fundamentals. We need to tie stock prices and market prices to what's happening in the economy. And long term, that is reflected in this uptrend here that we see with the Nasdaq. And we see that this uptrend since the inception of AI is actually pretty clear what that line is. And that slope reflects a little bit the truth, in my opinion. And when we deviate from the slope to the downside, for example, here with this little tariff crisis, and then here with the little dumb Iran crisis, when we deviate to the downside, we see a V-shaped recovery to the upside to get back on that track. And what happened after Iran was over was that we overshot to the upside. That is exactly what happened in the last few weeks. We went too high, and you can just see that on that line. I'm doing here beginner technical analysis, but I think beginner technical analysis is actually more reliable than professional technical analysis because it's more fundamentally rooted. So what you see here is we overshot, right? Short term, let's go to maybe 1 year, if you can see anything here. Here is the trend up, right? Trend up. And you see we're overdoing it a little bit. And I think now longer trend is actually more helpful. Now we are underdoing it. You know, if you just draw the line here, bing, 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 you see, ooh, that's too high, should be here. Now it's a little bit too low, but we are roughly where we should be, maybe a little lower than we should be. And that is my main argument. When you combine these things, that we are still in a clear bull market. That doesn't mean you can't drop like a little stone, as you see here and here. But if we do so, there will be V-shaped recoveries as long as the fundamentals don't change. And Micron earnings have shown nothing is changing. The opposite is true. We are going like crazy. By the way, little side note before we go to Tesla, the fact that Nvidia is down is completely nuts. Because why do you think Micron is up so much? Because people have to buy RAM. Why do they have to buy RAM? Because they need to buy Nvidia. Why do they have to buy Nvidia? Because the AI build-out is crazy. So the idea that Nvidia drops because Nvidia has a pricing problem, because they need to buy Micron DRAM, is fundamentally stupid. Because Nvidia is fundamentally different from Apple, for example, or from all the other consumer-facing hardware makers like Dell maybe, who have to buy expensive RAM. They have to pass on this expensive RAM price to the consumer, and they will take a hit on demand because they have to increase the prices. Consumers don't like that. They pull back demand. But that is not true for Nvidia, because Nvidia and demand for Nvidia is the reason why Micron goes up so much. So that circular reasoning, it's dumb. I think Nvidia is probably one of the best buys right now. And we are working, let's hope we can get something out next week where we compare Micron versus Nvidia. And I can't even tell you what the finding is. I honestly don't know which one is better, but I will know, hopefully, by next week, because we're going to dive into that. It's a very interesting question. Nvidia versus Micron. Which one is the better deal? It will be very interesting. You see Nvidia here, 30 PE ratio. That's nuts. But when you look at Micron, Micron has a higher PE ratio, but also has higher growth. So that's the interesting thing. On paper, Nvidia looks like a much better deal, but Micron has a stronger growth rate. So let's see. My gut feeling is Nvidia comes out on top. But let's see about that. So this is the greater market situation. Before we go to Tesla, let's do one more round. Oh, I didn't even show you Micron. Here, Micron at 53. 53 price earnings versus Nvidia at 29. Of course, you can't just look at the PA ratio, but it is a little bit of a giveaway where this is going. Nvidia on a total slide, despite being absolutely, totally killing it, totally having perfect modes. I mean, Micron is a very compelling case. There's no doubt about it, but I think Nvidia just looks better right now. So before we go to our favorite little stock, Tesla, let's do a quick check what's going on here again. Of course, United States attacking Iran, nothing special to see here. Market totally ignores it, doesn't mean anything. So they're bombing each other a little bit, but it's all nothing serious. Just a little bombing between friends. So US military conducted strikes against Iran in response to what President Donald Trump says was Tehran's violation of the ceasefire by launching drone attacks aimed at ships at Strait of Hormuz. No idea what's going on there, but it's not important. There is peace. The US is being forced to accept a peace. They have no choice. Now Trump said the same thing as I said before. There is simply no choice. Iran can dictate these terms to some extent because the world is at the brink. And the funny thing is, the world is so much at the brink that the oil prices don't even care, because the oil prices say, yeah, we are so much at the brink, no one is going to do anything stupid. It's way too dangerous, so let's drop the oil prices. Boom. There you can see what's going on. The oil market is much smarter than any politician. And that's the situation. Crypto getting totally slaughtered, even though it looks green today. Solana very up. But look at this. Bitcoin cannot get back on its feet. It seems like 60,000 is holding for now. We are below 60,000, but it's kind of hovering around there. What do I think of that? I don't know why Solana is up so much and Ether is not recovering, but Bitcoin right now remains in a total bear market. I said it again and again. I think 60,000 is probably going to hold too much fundamental good news, but we are clearly in a bear market. This is a momentum thing. Betting on Bitcoin short term, probably not smart. We have to wait until this thing gets healthy again. That could take another 6 months. Who knows? Long term, probably goodbye. So let's talk Tesla and what is actually going on in this whole situation. You know that I have, of course, major Tesla exposure. I believe Tesla is in an extremely strong position fundamentally, but in a horrible position from a technical perspective. So here's the year-to-date performance. First quarter, total disaster. We know all about it. Then beautiful recovery. We totally nailed that one. We were wrong on June. Well, June is not over. I said 490 in June if Cybercab scales. If Cybercab sees a little rollout, I said, I believe the rollout is more likely than not. Now I look dumb because June is nearly over. But I still believe, and now we get to the meat of the situation. I still believe that we have a local probability maximum for a Cybercab rollout in June. And I understand not much time left. Is it 2 days or 3 days? I think 2 days, 29th, only 2 trading days left, but a whole weekend in between. I believe we have a local probability maximum that something is going to happen. Oh, I didn't even share my screen. Something is going to happen, and the reason for that is we see, as you know, as I shared yesterday, we see all these things. We see Cybercab rolling out massively. These are 100 Cybercabs sitting there. Look at this. This is what I call mass production. You really think they're churning out these things at that rate with no plan in sight to actually use them? You heard that argument before from me. So that is just not very likely. Why I also believe it's a reasonably strong bet to hold Tesla a little bit leveraged right now, because it's so much down, and to do that at least until Wednesday. Because we also know that Tesla said this in the Q4 earnings call, which is not so long ago, only 6 months ago, 5 months ago. They gave us this thing. They said, well, we plan within the next 6 months to unlock the following cities. And Dallas and Houston, they did. But Phoenix, Miami, Orlando, Tampa, and Las Vegas, not really. So they have 2 more trading days, 4 more total days to deliver on their little promise. And some people say, well, they're going to miss it. It's stupid. But from a totally rational perspective, you have to admit that there is an elevated probability that we see some action. Now, that doesn't mean it happens, but it's a very reasonable bet to be a little more long on Tesla than normal right now, and that's exactly what I am. It also means if nothing happens, if this goes by and we go into July on Wednesday, I do not think that the stock will massively drop, because I don't think many investors are actually thinking like that and then pull the rug. But I will change my tune, because if we don't see deployment at scale for Cybercab and Robotaxi in June, then my thesis that we have an elevated probability, it might still be true, even though it doesn't happen. I said it's a probability, but it means the local maximum of this probability is gone. And then we have a different situation. Then I will shift the narrative to saying, well, now we don't have a local maximum in July. We have a stretched maximum, probability maximum, over the entire second half of 2026. What does it mean? It means it's much harder to narrow down where that point actually is. All we know is with every week that goes by, with every increase in ramp of Cybercab, it becomes exponentially more likely that a rollout happens, but we don't know on what basis. So should we not see any rollout, then I will hunker down and basically change my tune to say we have to get prepared for Tesla slowly bleeding and bleeding and bleeding, because it's missing the catalyst, and that catalyst can now not be timed well anymore after June. I think it's coming for long-term investors. Nothing to see here, no problem. If you have a 6-month horizon, even not a problem. But this monthly betting on something, you can't do it anymore. You have to be prepared. If they launch that stuff, quick all-time highs, if they keep scaling, then we will see a repricing, potentially to 600, 700, potentially to $1,000 a share. If we see significant scale, multiple thousands of these things rolled out, then we are off to the races. But as long as neither one happens, we will bleed, because we have to bleed. And that means that stock will remain under pressure and trend down, because what are you going to do with this stock, right? For the skeptics, they're going to say, well, it can take years. Who knows when this is going to happen, because now the first half is over. So that is the tricky situation. If we by Wednesday don't see any kind of significant movement, and I do think we might see it, I stick to my horses for now. I still think there is a local probability maximum over the next 4 days. But if not, we have this situation where we as long-term bulls understand, well, it doesn't matter, it's going to happen, but tactically we don't know when. right? And as long as it doesn't happen, this stock will be under pressure, because why would you buy Tesla? Why would you buy Tesla at any given week or day if they don't scale? There's no reason to buy it. There's only a reason to wait. That is the situation. So once we have these 4 days passed without any action, I need to reposition that a little bit to be more conservative. But for now, I'm not conservative. Let's see what happens. So that is the situation here. We have some small updates in that line. We see DJ here. So this just happened 4 hours ago. Tesla Cybercaps are about to invade the Washington, D.C. area, and I was given a chance to see it up close. Longer video coming shortly, but for now, holy crap, ask questions in the comments. Buy your Tesla now, folks. So that's like the dichotomy, the paradox of Tesla. It's bleeding to death. There's all the catalysts missing, but the people in the know and the fans see the signs all over the place. But how much more science do we have to witness and see before something happens? No one knows, and that's the pressure on the stock. So you see here beautiful pictures from Washington in the city.
Wow.
That is now not as dangerous as it used to be, because President Trump has cleaned it up. The city of DC. So no bulletproof Cybercab required for now. If the midterms go wrong, maybe we need bulletproof Cybercaps. But let's see. Occupy low Earth orbit. That is a very geeky shirt. I love it. And we see the amazing Cybercab here in Washington, D.C. So as you can see, that is what's going on. And these are older pictures from Houston. We know about all these things. And finally, before we go to the questions, we also have these news here that the FMVSS, the NHTSA regulations, have now concluded that this order number 135 will remove the requirements for these robotaxis and fully autonomous vehicles for hand and foot or foot-operated brake controls. For vehicles designed never to be operated by human, existing rules still apply to AVs that retain manual controls. All subject vehicles must still meet the same stopping distance performance criteria versus alternative testing procedures. While this update ensures AVs can physically stop when commanded, NHTSA is separately developing safety performance requirements for AVs in real-world driving scenarios. NHTSA will continue to use its broad defect enforcement authority to investigate unsafe ADS behavior and oversee recalls. Very important, because it shows the administration is moving forward. I don't know if Secretary Duffy is still in place. Probably. Duffy, the Transport Secretary of the United States. Ex-friend of Elon. I think they got into a fight over NASA. Doesn't matter. Another Fox News guy. So basically that means Cybercab now doesn't need this stuff anymore, hand or foot operated brake controls. You don't need these controls anymore. Very good, a good step in the right direction, but I always said I don't care about this stuff. It's obvious that this will all be in place. Regulations are not the problem for this entire thing. The problem is it has to work. Tesla needs to be confident, and then they need to roll it out. Oh, look at this. This is what I will show while we have our discussion. This beautiful, I just love Teslas. Look at this. It's beautiful. So what does the chat say? What do we have in the chat going on? Yo is on live. Let's make money. Yeah, today was a decent day. Actually, I'm up a lot, but I'm also down. This is like very exhausting, this whole thing. But today was a very good day because I'm still very leveraged here, and I re-shifted my short puts. And I told you yesterday, I bought some calls yesterday, which I normally don't do. Takasaga says, we need to see you versus Alexandra again. That was fun and entertaining. I think you won. Thank you. I told Herbert that people want to see the death match again. Gavin Smee. Hello from Australia. Hello to Australia. I always love it when we have the whole world here, from Australia down under all the way to the UK all the way to Arizona, Phoenix, and Riverside County. I got a nice comment from Riverside County in California. Mate says, I'm so confused about Tesla this week. It's crazy. Yeah, I mean, this week was very exhausting. This rug pull minus 5% was completely nuts. I bought some put options to get me through the weekend. Oh, really? I think you will lose money on that. What do you think of Bloom Energy? I don't understand it at all. Yes, I also don't understand it. We have to be cautious. If you chase these energy and AI stocks, you need to make sure you understand it. And you want to be ahead of the game, not behind the game. You need to have a game plan, and ideally you get into stocks when no one likes them. For example, SpaceX, my favorite. SpaceX is just the best thing. This is my new favorite stock, better than Tesla. Not to buy, by the way, but to focus on and analyze. I will analyze the hell out of it. We have 2 people on it now, 2 very smart people. And we will have a total understanding of SpaceX. And that's how I like my entry points. I want to see SpaceX totally unattractive right now. I want to understand where it goes. I want to track it. And I have my plan about Christmas or something. Maybe, let's see how it goes, where I absolutely enter that position when everyone hates it. That is when you want it. The stock that everyone hates right now that you should be in my opinion, is Tesla. Tesla is so hated, you have no idea. People hate Tesla. Everyone hates Tesla. Bulls hate Tesla. Everyone hates Tesla. And that is probably a good sign. It can go down more because people hate it so much. But actually, I don't think so. We had like Lord Flacco's analysis that I kind of liked, where we might even see the bottom here of the uptrend. The bottom of the uptrend line up is actually at 370. So very interesting stuff. Paul Costa says, Joe Bhakti, that's me. Welcome to the Joe Bhakti show. After hours down, yeah, but not a lot. This is a joke. What do you mean down? This is a joke. This is $1.95. No one even cares. So I think, regarding the thumbnail, of course, of this show, I think, will we see 400 again? I mean, very quickly. Well, it's very simple. If anything happens, this goes up like a rocket. Okay? If we unlock more cities, but especially if Cybercab starts acting up, I tell you guys, we can be at 490 in absolutely no time. And then I would be very cautious. We have resistance around the 405 to 410. That's the first resistance. Next resistance 445, as we know, we bounced off that. And then next super strong resistance at 490. So we have to take this into consideration. That's where you can totally get rejected. To break through all-time highs, I think, even for 45, might need a little bit more power. But once the market believes Cybercab is scaling, once you see dozens and then hundreds and then multiple hundreds, all bets are off. As I said, as long as it doesn't happen, we have a problem. Kazi Moran says, this sucks. Just a few days ago, we were talking about maybe going to 500. Now we're excited about getting back to 400. I know, but, don't trace, don't lack, and trace the stock. Think ahead. I'm telling you, if anything happens, we're at 490 no time. As long as it doesn't happen, we have a problem. This will happen quicker than Uber adoption, 1 year max. Well, this will never be a demand problem. It will always be a supply problem, which is very interesting, by the way. Mark says, memory is a bubble. If you don't know what Kioxia Holding is, you should be careful. Chinese memory in rearview mirror coming up fast. I don't know, Mark. I don't know. I don't know because you need extremely advanced RAM for Nvidia. And the main reason, look, even if cheaper Chinese RAM can do something on the consumer side, which you are probably right. You're probably right that they will be able to do something on cheap stuff like Apple computers and stuff like that. But for high-end applications, I highly doubt that the Chinese can do something. It is totally in Korean, SK Hynix, Samsung, and especially Micron Technologies' hands. Plus, there's national security issues and stuff like that. So I think Micron is locked in. even though they will lose some of their markets, that's true, but the demand for AI will be very focused on Micron. Elon's birthday, 28th of June. Oh, really? Why does he always have birthday? Wasn't that like just interesting? Interesting. 28th of June. That's Sunday. Elon's birthday. Watch out. The current deck does not say 1H20. Which deck? Guz. Show me the deck. The change to work in progress. Here, Gus says it doesn't say it anymore. No one ever takes these silly forecasts about robotaxi series. Froth, as always, the deck was nonsense. Well, they may dump a bunch of robotaxis in the first Texas city, Austin, and later the other two Texas cities. Then, as they get the cleaning facilities built everywhere, they'll dump more robotaxis there. Well, I hope so. That sounds very bullish to me. Don't you love my new feature here? I can share your comments. Remember back in Q4 2024, it was Austin. Yes, I know. Elon's birthday, 28th of June. Tesla updated the deck for the 7 cities from Q2 to preparations underway, which is no longer means Q2. What deck was that? The last earnings call? Q1 earnings call? I think scale will happen after merge. Let me see if I can find this deck actually. Let's look at the robotaxi. Tesla earnings deck. Earnings deck Q1. Let's see. I can also look in Google. Let's see if I find the deck. And if we see anything. Tesla earnings call Q1 2026 deck. Let's see. Here I found something. Q1 update. Let's see. Cities. No. Austin. No. Robotaxi. Progress on Optimus ahead. Launched on April. 13 mentions. Other supporting infrastructure. We can read the earnings deck. The latest earnings deck. While we aim to leverage as much of our existing investments as possible, we continue to build out supporting infrastructure for our vehicle and mobility business, including robotaxi expansion across established growth. Okay. Boring. AI software. These architectural advances will help accelerate our efforts to eventually deploy unsupervised autonomy on both a robotaxi fleet and customer-owned vehicles. Eventually. AI inference compute, blah, blah, blah. Not important for us. In Q1, paid robotaxi miles nearly doubled sequentially from 1 to 2 miles. Once in production, we expect that Cybercab will begin to replace the existing Model Y fleet. That is happening as we speak and will be the largest volume vehicle in the fleet over time. We continued laying the groundwork for expansion of our robotaxi service to additional major US metros, including testing and permitting, allowing us to quickly launch new markets once we are ready. When is that? Our top priority remains safety. We further expanded our unsupervised operation in Austin and launched unsupervised rates in both Dallas and Houston in April. Okay. What do they say here? Oh no, that's the same thing. Here. Well, they say that's the current state. Metro status, ramping unsupervised, preparations underway. Okie dokie. So basically everything is unclear. The Down hanging on after hours looks weak. Hello from Sausalito, California. Hello back. Hi from British Columbia, Canada. Keep up the great work. Thank you for tuning in from from California, Sausalito. I could never pronounce Sausalito. California, and from British Columbia, beautiful British Columbia. I just checked the updated deck. It says preparations underway. It's a shame JT drone vids don't show enough detail to see how many Cybercabs are now built with steering wheels. That's true. Updating a date-sensitive earnings deck is charming. Yes. I think Elon will split Tesla 5-1 before he announces acquisition. Well, the split I don't care about. Splits don't matter. They have no impact. I don't think the sentiment in Tesla can get much worse, which means buy. Here, young dude. You should listen to the young dude. You should never forget how the stock market works. If everyone is bearish, it can only go up. Because if everyone is bearish, it means everyone already sold. Okay? And when you look at the fear and greed index, it's probably right now in fear and not in extreme fear anymore, but it was extreme fear yesterday. Let's see where we are now. Are we still extreme fear? I can't tell. Yeah, extreme fear. That is very good news. Extreme fear. You want to buy when people cry. I just made this up. This is genius. Buy when they cry. Or buy when you cry. Even better. Buy when they cry. Okay? So, I know Blake Anderson says US strikes on Iranian targets are ongoing. I know. I just reported on this here. I was the first to report it and say it's like boring. It doesn't matter at all, in my opinion. They can start the war. That's why I said it's over. Long before anyone knew it's over, it is over. You can't have that war. So they have to bomb maybe a little bit, but no one really cares. Not even Iran cares. And you see it with the stock C. This doesn't look like a big bombing scare. Drawzewatsik says, I was late last time. It's a doom scenario question, but I do mean it seriously. What if the markets refuse the dollar caused by the US debt? How should you protect yourself as an EU Tesla holder? Well, right now the dollar is going up like crazy. So I don't think that's our problem right now. I don't think that's our problem. Can we look at dollar? What is this? Dollar, euro? Dollar, euro? I think the dollar is doing fine. We now have to think about, is this... What is that? No data? Dollar to euro. 5 years. See, it's going up right now. Dollar is getting stronger. Got a little murdered here. When was that? That was like in January 2025. Trump won the election. Dollar goes up very high, nearly 1-to-1. That's crazy. And then what happened? Tariff, total destruction of the dollar. But look at this. Dollar getting stronger. I like it. I have dollars. I need cheap euros. So don't worry about these things. The whole dollar situation, debt situation, forget about these things. These are long-term concerns and you can absolutely not time that stuff. That's like God level timing. If you time these kinds of things, the implosion of civilization, you can't do that. We can increase debt into infinity. In theory, we are all going to die because of it, but you know, good luck timing that stuff. There are 10 billion tricks out of that. Inflate your way out, do whatever you want. So no. Sold a 420 weekly call that just expired. Good luck. That was good. We'll see what they offer for 10 weekly call expiring Thursday. So Brad Taylor tries to sell some calls maybe on Monday. Could be, could work. Tesla at launch on Elon's birthday Sunday. Yeah, I still believe the odds are much higher than usual that something happens in the next 4 days. Just probabilistically, of course, it could not happen anything, but it's a good, reasonable bet. What happened to 490? Well, 490 didn't happen. Buy VanEck Semiconductor ETF, and you'll be safe and sure go up 50% next year, regardless of Chinese or other competitors. Yeah, I have to look into that thing, semiconductor ETF. Yeah, if you want to just make a sector bet, which is probably a very smart bet, by the way. Kiyosha Holding invented RAM at Toshiba, largest market share company in Japan. Yeah, but I need to know what they're doing. Are they up? Why now? Like, what is happening to them? Ooh, Natty Vegan has a very juicy question. What about freaking MicroStrategy? I mean, the sentiment is a disaster on MicroStrategy. I'm a little concerned about this thing right now. I'm not touching it much. I have a little holding. I reduced it actually. I sold 2/3 of my MicroStrategy yesterday, by the way, to buy Tesla calls. That's what I did. Because I don't trust the situation. Like, MicroStrategy looks unstable. Why take the risk? Right? I want to see what they do now next. What's the next move? Because I'm not super duper high conviction on MicroStrategy. I just think, even on Bitcoin, I'm just like, I think it's a reasonable bet, but it's nothing to compare to Tesla. The whole fundamentals are not as strong as Tesla or Nvidia or Micron or all these things. So I need to see a little bit better sentiment before we bet on this. And, it doesn't matter if you catch it at 82 or at 100. If it goes up like crazy. And right now, this is a little exhausting, MicroStrategy. So I'm staying out of that. I posted an adjusted version of your ratchet idea of this Tesla SpaceX merger on X. Did you see? It used the conditional value right to give Tesla shareholders upside until merger. I didn't see that. Fabs Trader, I have to look it up on X. Bet says hi. Is this Chinese? My Chinese is not very good. I think it's Chinese, or is it Japanese? To be cautious. Don't want to offend. Either one. I think it's Chinese. Here, when Tesla goes up, it can go up 30 a day. Exactly. You should never forget that, right? Don't be wrong on the Tesla situation. Tesla is a crazy stock. It can drop randomly 5%, as we just experienced, but it can also randomly, or not randomly, go up 10% in a day. No problem. This is my first time saying hello. I really enjoy watching your videos, says Bed. Bed, where are you from? What is this? Tell me if it's Chinese, or it's probably Chinese. My bet is Chinese. The second part of your name. Showed signs of life right on the bottom of the weekly channel today. Exactly, which is showing a rising pennant and a cup and handle, which are both very bullish signs. Lol, I'm just crazy astrology guy. This is what I love. I love stock astrology. I don't take it super seriously, but I always watch it, and I always keep it in the back of my mind. And I like the whole bottom uptrend funnel. That actually makes sense. Andreas Peterson says, got 8 new Tesla shares today for 371 shares. Not bad. Selling puts is a no-brainer. Buying puts is throwing money away. I tend to agree. That's why I'm only selling. I bought calls, which I normally never do, but I mean, so far they're looking very good. Let's see. So buy when they cry. I have to patent that. That was good. Buy when they cry. Shortened. It's the shortened principle. Neil in Thailand. Greetings to Thailand. Are you currently in Thailand? Beautiful Thailand. Are you in Bangkok? Where are you? Mark JMSDL. Kyrgyz holding up 700% year to date. Wow. Have to look into that. But why do we believe that Kioxia is in a different position than Micron? Like, can they expand more? Can they expand manufacturing? That's the problem. No one can do that. Production and deliveries next week. Blaze Hudson, yeah, and I think they're both good for Tesla. So I think it's pretty bullish, the whole situation. We have to keep watching and then see. Did you guys follow the whole Citizen Vigilante launch? That's crazy stuff. Elon shared the movie, the forbidden movie from Germany, but it's in English. That's quite the movie. I just watched it. That's the best movie I've seen in a very long time. I also stopped watching movies because they're normally so dumb that I can't even watch them anymore. This is a pretty good movie. Citizen Vigilante. Elon messing with European politics again, because that movie is a little explosive, I would say. Very explosive. And because it hits the nerve, that's why it's illegal. It's not illegal, but it's effectively not available in Germany. I don't know about UK. Overhand Sybil says movie was shit, message was good. I can't even, I can't even make a differentiation. I don't care about this movie craft stuff. I thought it's an amazing movie because I love what they showed. That's the point of art. No one cares if it's like this shooting scene with a SWAT team. Was very disappointing. That was like bad action. You could have made this so much better when he shoots all the SWAT people. I mean, that was like kindergarten cinematography. That was the only point where I was a little disappointed. Like, really? Haven't you watched Terminator or something? That's how you do it. Like Arnold, when he stands like with a minigun and does the police stuff. That's how you do it. That was such the awesome scene. He had the same opportunity and messed it up. So that was bad, whatever you call this, use of the camera. What's the latest about Elon suing ZDF? Well, that's in the work and he's totally going to win this. I stand with Joe. Exactly. I know, but the scene was like, it was still a good scene. It was just badly executed. No pun intended. Okay, what do we see here? Yeah, I mean, no, the best movie ever, of course, like, we are not talking about the 90s. Of course, Terminator 2 remains undefeated. I always say my two favorite movies are Mean Girls and Terminator 2. I don't know why. These are my favorite movies. Yes. So what else do we have? Last check on X before we wrap it up. We make it short today. Anything interesting happening on X? Anything interesting on CNBC? I mean, the week is over. Trading has ceased. People are going home. No one cares about Iran anymore. Maybe the last thing here, OpenAI limits new AI models to trusted partners. Yeah, that's the AI news, that they start to censor all that stuff. So we are definitely entering the next phase of AI where new frontier models are not being allowed anymore. So what we see, it just happened. What we see is that the US government officially is now regulating AI. That is what's happening. Now every new model that is a real frontier model will be reviewed by whatever department here, and they will just interfere. So it's very interesting. Everyone thought, oh, we need regulations, but in reality, these things happen very quickly once you actually have concerns about safety. And this is very specifically about cybersecurity. It's all cybersecurity. That's the big reason why they become so touchy about these things. I don't even know how they're going to solve that, to be honest. Because all you can do is a harness around it like Fable, and no one knows if that harness actually holds. No one knows if you can jailbreak it. So it's very interesting what's going to happen next. I think this is like a major problem when you think about it. I think no one really talks about this. Everyone's like, yeah, whatever. They have a little ban here with Fable. Now they have a ban on ChatGPT 5.6. So basically, this has become now the new norm that you cannot launch these models anymore. This is very interesting, right? So we are, and that's what I call the age of AGI. We are now entering this phase where people simply cannot just launch these models anymore because the government now understands they are dangerous. They're not dangerous in the sense that, oh, they will eat us all alive, but they have now cyber security capabilities that allow anyone to hack the government. So I don't know how to solve that, by the way, because how do you even test this? You can't test this anymore. You can't test it. So it's a problem. I think they're trying to figure that out. You know, you can't test it by definition because this is about creative hacking. How do you test if this thing can creatively hack you? You can't. So this is going to be very interesting. Madsen asked what was my Tesla call strategy yesterday. I bought a bunch of 380 calls that are short running. They're expiring end of August. Now up a lot, but let's see, or a little bit now because it went down. But you have to sell these things if you buy it, because it's basically a bet that something is going to happen in the next, few weeks. Because we're just in a very local probability maximum. That's how I call it. AI models will be reviewed by the Department of Insider Trading. Well, that department has wide-ranging authority, the Department of Insider Trading. Mid-August, August 21st. The options. So yeah, here OpenAI on Friday announced 3 new artificial intelligence models and said it's complying with the US government's request to initially limit the rollout to a small group of trusted partners. The company said in a blog post that it believes in broad access and is working to make the models GPT 5.6, Sol, Terra, and Luna generally available in the coming weeks. OpenAI said it previewed the models' capabilities and shared its plan with the government ahead of Friday's launch. We don't believe this kind of government access process should become the long-term default. Well, it is. Says OpenAI, it keeps the best tools from users, developers, enterprises, cyber defenders, and global partners who need them. Well, the Trump administration has taken a noticeably more hands-on approach to AI regulation since President Donald Trump signed an AI executive order earlier this month. The order, which was thin on specific details, asked AI developers to voluntarily allow the government to assess model capabilities ahead of release. There you have it. Fields Herbert, splitting the stock makes a big difference for lower dollar accounts. You're dead wrong about it. Makes no difference. Guys can afford 100 shares. Well, it doesn't make like a strategic difference. You get a little boost every time you have a split. You have something like 2 to 5% upside in there because more people buy it, but it's not a big strategic difference. Explain the stock to say $50 is good for lower money to counts. They can buy 100 shares at 400 or 500. They could at 50 and write a covered call. I don't even totally understand it. Fields doesn't matter to the balance sheet. It matters to lesser accounts to be involved in the options market. Oh, options. Options. If you split it, it's easier to sell options and buy. Yes, that's true. Okay, guys, it's getting late over here. Last check. Is Iran still getting bombed or do we have peace now? We should have peace by now. That's already an hour old. Digital Services Act, also funny. The Europeans do stupid things and want to do digital services tax, and Trump just threatened them with 100% tax tariffs on everything if they do that. It's very funny. So, there you have it. That is the latest news. Bottom line is, I remain positive for next week on Tesla. We also have all these deliveries and stuff coming out. I think we're in a good situation. Totally ridiculously low and oversold. Panic everywhere. I like it. We have fear and panic, tears plus good deliveries plus robotaxi slowly scaling. It seems like a good environment to act. Oh yeah, like and subscribe, everyone. Hit the like button. Exactly. Thank you, guys. Thank you, LJJQ8OG. Yes, like and subscribe. Very, very important. That is what keeps us happy and motivated. So, thank you guys so much. And it will stay interesting. I will have a political video coming out over the weekend on Germany. We have some interesting news on Germany. The AfD is approaching 30%, but I have also some updates on the next tactical moves in Germany, which is kind of crazy because there will be ripple effects all over Europe if that happens. Big things are in the works. So that will come out maybe tomorrow or maybe on Sunday. And then we take it from there. Okie dokie. Thank you so much. And see you very soon. See you tomorrow. Have a wonderful Friday. Bye-bye.